I've been waiting for the right time to talk about this, and I think I finally hit the point. Recently, I made a video on misinformation and disinformation surrounding COVID, and I talked about how people are pushing an aerosol-only transmission mode of COVID as a potential source of misinformation that's being spread through the public. And as expected, there's a little bit of pushback on that. So first, let's go through the history. At the onset, we were told that COVID was spread through droplet transmission only, meaning when people talk or sing or yell, sputum comes out. And that could also be with coughs and sneezes, and that these particles were how people were getting infected from one another. Then we found out, not only is it spread through droplets, it's also spread through aerosols, and aerosols is actually the most likely predominant mode of transmission. So everyone came up with these really great analogies, like it's spread like smoke. Where the problem arises that people pushed so hard on this messaging that they made it seem like droplet transmission doesn't actually occur. And to try to rectify this, the World Health Organization introduced particle-based language and came up with the silly term of the puff cloud in their April 2024 meeting. And the reason they did this is because they saw this problem that's been going on, where people are considering COVID spread is only aerosols, where the puff cloud comes in from a spray that self-segments into heavy drops that fall down and then light drops that linger in the air for long periods of time, with the purpose of emphasizing that COVID is both droplet-based transmission and aerosol-based transmission. It's both. So what is the problem of treating COVID as only an aerosol? Well, first, it ignores the fact that you can get COVID from contact with your eyes. So that would be a fomite transfer from a COVID-infected surface to rubbing your eyes, and you can get infected through your eyes. That's one source of transmission. Furthermore, it's been well documented that a COVID infection can occur from both consuming or drinking COVID. This could occur through kissing, through sharing alcoholic beverages with a friend. I know it was very common in my college years to be like, here, try my drink, it's real good. And then, can I try yours? I want to see what it tastes like. This would make it so that potential mitigation measures like wearing eye protection or monitoring the food supplies would be completely ignored, in addition to other common sense measures like using drink covers, which means that even if we did everything perfect to prevent aerosol transmission, COVID transmission would still occur if we don't include a droplet-based transmission in our protective mitigations. However, it's also important to note that while these risks do occur, they're not at the same risk level. Aerosolized COVID or airborne COVID is a higher risk than fomite transmission, where from the studies I've seen, the risk estimate is somewhere between 80 and 90% for aerosol-based transmission and around 50 to 60% for fomite transmission. This is coming from animal-based transmission studies. But the emphasis again is that it's not a no-risk scenario for fomite, but a lower risk scenario for fomite. So analogies like smoke are fine, but they are incomplete. And this is why we have to use particle-based, even puff cloud-based transmission in our descriptors. Because you have to remember that the majority of people don't actually follow the science. They follow their historic memory, which is imperfect, where they were told COVID is droplet-based transmission, and then COVID's aerosolized. And with a lot of the people I've talked to, that made them think, droplet-based transmission doesn't occur for COVID, it's only aerosols, which is a false conclusion that leads to inaccurate messaging, which is a source of misinformation. So as scientists, you have to remember who your target audience is, which is the general public, and you have to know what types of information they've been given, in addition to the order of how that information was received. So while it is a silly analogy by the World Health Organization, I would advocate for using a puff cloud-based terminology moving forwards.